Well, a big gap in campaign cash between Governor Cuomo and possible Republican opponent Rob Astorino. And Cuomo's latest filing shows he raised more than $33 million, while Astorino has less than $1 million on hand. But that could soon change for the Westchester County executive. And joining us now, our political analyst, New York Post state editor Fred Dicker. And Fred, Rob Astorino is certainly at a grave disadvantage financially now. But your story today suggests that to some degree that could change.
Right. It has to do with a decision from the U.S. Supreme Court a few years ago called Citizens United, a very controversial one that was followed up last week in New York City, Liz, by a federal court judge who's citing that decision threw out New York's limit on independent contributions to independent political action committees that support candidates, i.e., if someone now wants to give $1 million or $10 million or $500,000 to help Rob Astorino or Governor Cuomo, they can do it with no limit from the state. The state law that existed has now been thrown out. The Astorino campaign is very hopeful that various interest groups, both here in New York and nationally, including groups who are involved with the oil and gas industry — Rob Astorino supports hydrofracking in the southern tier — will now come in and help fund the Astorino campaign. Added to that, conservative groups around the country who may not like Andrew Cuomo for a number of reasons now really have the right to come into New York and spend unlimited amounts of money on behalf of Astorino if they want to do so, as long as they don't coordinate their campaigns with Astorino. That's still forbidden.
Historically, how much difference in a race like this would outside money make?
Well, it's a new day, really, in New York politics because of all the money that's now involved. In just the last few years, Liz, a lot of local races, including congressional races, really have become what's called nationalized. More and more national money from super PACs, large political action committees set up by people on the left or on the right, whether it's for gay rights or it's for gun rights. These have become more and more important, and it's becoming more common here in New York, but it has not been until recently. You know, we saw with the Tasek Amador race a couple of years ago, where at the last minute, this is a state Senate race just locally, $500,000 in George Soros-connected money came into the campaign. That's happening more and more. Soros is on the left. Now there may be some money, big money, coming in from the more conservative side of the political spectrum.
Were you able to get any sense at all, Fred, of how much more this might mean to Astorino? Because right now he's at a 33-to-1 disadvantage.
Yeah. Well, they don't know, the Astorino people. They're hoping it could mean $5 to $10 million. A lot of it has to do with polls that will be done privately, Liz. A lot of these groups don't want to throw their money away, obviously.
Sure.
If they see polls showing that Astorino does have a shot against Andrew Cuomo, you can be sure more money will come in than otherwise.
All right, and maybe at some future time we can talk about how you would define a shot. I mean, what do those polls have to show? But don't tell me now. We'll save that for another day. Thank you, Fred. Good. Fred's live on the radio as well, live from the state capitol every weekday morning from 10 to 11 on Talk 1300 AM.